Yeah, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So, real quick, I just wanted to discuss one of the first steps of the new lie quest that started off in Destiny 2 today. For those who don't know, this is a new quest that just kicked off. Right now, a lot of Guardians are out there in the wild on the EDZ, the Moon, and Io doing the Seraph Tower Public Events. It's some sort of community event that is kicked off. It was data mined a while back, but we've tried not to spoil that for you guys here on this channel. But now that it's out there, so you guys can know, there is a community event of some sorts going on where you have to participate in the Seraph Tower public events. We as a community have to complete 3 million public events on each one of those locations. So now is the perfect time to jump in, especially if you guys are trying to get that hard-coded challenge done. And that's the triumph that you need in order to complete the almighty title for this season. So if you've been looking for people to jump into that event, or if you have a fire team and you've just been looking for more people to be available during the event, now should be the perfect time where a lot more people are running this event, and it should be a lot more possible to get it done. So now anyway, the focus of today's video, what I wanted to talk about was this little bit of dialogue that we see here from Ana Bray. Now, for anyone who hasn't read this season's Weblore, Legacy Part 1 and Part 2, I highly recommend giving that a read because a lot of the stuff that I'm going to reference here is from that Weblore. And also, if you guys haven't checked out Myelin Games, definitely check out Myelin Games because he's recently started off a Destiny series covering the Weblore in detail. So definitely check that out. I'll have all of that stuff linked down below. So now, just to quickly break down what Ana Bray is saying here, I'm going to just read it for you and I'm going to tell you guys what I've gathered from the lore and what I think is going on here. So now the dialogue begins by saying that Ana nods in recognition of successful integrations into Rasputin's system. She turns to acknowledge you. And that's just referencing leveling up the bunkers, doing the Seraph Tower public events to build up the satellites, doing the Seraph Tower public events to launch the satellites. Basically everything that we've done within the seasonal activities up until this point. So she says, "This is incredible. We had expected a few hiccups if I'm honest." Ana gives a slightly uneasy chuckle. "Integrating so many systems at once leaves potential for fragmentation. But each bunker connection reads like we're rebuilding old neurons scrubbed from his brain, like he's remembering." She pauses for a moment in consideration. Now, this moment right here stuck out to me because when you do read the Weblore, you find out that Ana Bray has basically been scouring the solar system and discovering old facilities. And as I go on with this dialogue, you'll kind of get an idea of what those facilities were used for. But she mentions here specifically that each bunker connection reads like we're rebuilding old neuron scrub from his brain. And I think this is interesting because when you think about Clovis Bray, and you think about the secrets that surround Clovis Bray, you think about the secrets that surround the collapse, there's a lot of unanswered questions that rise once you start to get into that whole topic. And Ana Bray discovered all these different facilities that were used to fragment and separate Rasputin's consciousness essentially. So now the question that I got from this is, why did they do that? What were they trying to make Rasputin forget? And what could he possibly remember by us completing this task? So now if we go on, she says, "You know, before Zavala came to us about the Almighty, we were skipping around the system." She gives you a quick wary look before continuing, because Ana Bray knows something. She discovered something about herself and something about Rasputin while she was out there exploring. And as we all know, Ana Bray is indeed a Bray, and what we find out is that she played a part in some secret plan that Clovis Bray had to seemingly relaunch humanity, restart humanity somewhere out in the solar system. Now, it's important to keep in mind that this ship that she found was launched pre-collapse. So whether or not Clovis Bray had something to do with the collapse, which is kind of implied when you get into reading a lot of the K1 crew lore from Shadowkeep. Again, Myelin does a great job of going really in depth on a lot of this lore. So basically, she speaks to an EXO aboard the ship and she asks the EXO what the ship was used for, and the EXO greets her as it seemingly knows who she is and tells her that she was a warden aboard that ship and that all the EXOs aboard that ship were there not by their choice but by force. For what purpose, I'm not clear as of yet, but hopefully we find that information out soon enough. Now, the information might already be known, as I stated before, within the Weblore. I have not completed it myself. It's pretty long, and Myelin's still working on his video series, so if you guys want to know yourself what the answer potentially is, definitely go give that Weblore a read. So I'm going to continue with this, but I'm going to read it all over again so you guys get a sense of the emotions that the writer is trying to convey about Ana in this moment. So she says, "You know, before Zavala came to us about the Almighty, we were skipping around the system." She gives you a quick, wary look before continuing. Chasing leads. Ran into a lot of locked doors. These connections are going to change all that. I made my travel records available to the Vanguard. Most of them. Because again, Ana does not want to reveal what she found out there in the system, because she knows that if she does that, it may fracture this newly formed relationship between the Vanguard, us, and Rasputin. So now the little bit of dialogue finishes up by describing the situation, and it says, Ana notices you about to speak and gives you a knowing look, as if to say, I know you have questions about everything that I've just said. But she goes on to say, Big Red and I found something we might need your help with, but now is not the time. Giant kamikaze spaceship first, Ana's baggage later. Yeah? Now, I'm going to finish this whole thing up right here, but basically, like I said, Ana Bray discovered something out there in the solar system, something having to do with all the Rasputin facilities, something to do with the Exos, something to do with Clovis Bray. And there is some secret going on surrounding Clovis Bray, the collapse, and all these different puzzle pieces. Now, whether or not Ana has already put it together is the question, and I think we're going to find that out going forward. I do also have a theory that all this information about Clovis Bray, the collapse, Rasputin, all this stuff is going to lead us into some type of Europa content having to do with Deep Stone Crypt. Possibly more references to Cade 6 and his past, revealing more about his involvement, referencing the 7 Seraphs. We're probably going to get some information about Felwinter going forward. The quest is called The Lie, and for anyone who doesn't already know, this entire quest and the content that's going to come from it has already been data mined by Jinser. So I'm going to have a link down below to his Twitter profile where he posts a lot of these leaks. So if you guys want to know that information for yourself, if you want to know what's coming later on down the season potentially, and into the future with other content that Bungie's producing later on down the line, I'll have all that stuff linked down below. Let's have a discussion down below in the comment section about what you guys think is going to happen going forward. I appreciate you guys hanging out, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.